Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Was from victimhood to warrior mentality. Okay. So I'm going to dive right into it today. If you're jumping in throughout the thing and you miss some stuff, it'll be up on YouTube for you by the end of the day. So I have a framework I put together for how to change your thought process from a victim to a warrior. Okay. And yesterday we've had a lot going on in my life. We had some mold we found in my house next door, so I'm staying in an Airbnb with my kids. And yesterday I was trying to talk to you guys about this exact training, and it was wild in my house, and I'm not sure anybody could even hear me because the kids were just lit. They were fighting. It was wild. So, okay. Andrew, do not call anybody on that, please. Here we go again. Okay, so anyway, I have a framework I put together of how you're going to change your mind from a victim to a warrior, okay? And this is stuff you could do every single day. And what you need to do is you have to do it in like a process, okay? So if you ever catch yourself asking yourself questions like, why me? Why can't I figure it out? Why don't I ever get lucky? That must be nice for them. If you're catching yourself saying stuff like that, you are in the lack. Your brain is in the lack, not the abundant mindset. And that is a victim mentality. And when you're in a victim situation, you're in a victim mind state, you aren't going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. 6-figure, 7-figure earners, they don't think like victims. They think like warriors, okay? So I always go back to my favorite quote of if your quality of your life is based on the quality of your questions. If you want a better quality of life, you need to ask better quality questions. I always go to that, and that goes into tying with this as well. So when you're asking yourself things like, why me? Or you say stuff like, that must be nice. It's her husband who makes the money. He's rich. It can't be her. Or she's so lucky. Everyone likes her. Victimhood, thinking in the lack, comparing yourself to others, all lack. So I have I want to call it a 5-step, but it all boils down to a 3-step framework of how you're going to get yourself out of this kind of mentality. So let's dive right into it. So the first and foremost step of noticing or of getting yourself out of victimhood is noticing it, okay? So when you catch yourself have a thought like I just said to you, and if you have to write down the phrases that are victimhood that you notice that you've said in the past when you're in a good state of mind. The why me questions, the why can't I ever have anything? Those questions, write them down if you don't remember what they are in the moment. Memorize them, and as you hear yourself think of them, notice them. Okay, so that might be enough for you for a couple days because it's going to take a lot to notice all of the negative things you say throughout the day by accident in your head. Because if you're anything like me, sometimes we go on autopilot. You start doing the dishes, you start cleaning the house, and then all of a sudden your brain's on autopilot thinking those thoughts. You have to catch them. You got to notice that you're having that negative thought. You got to notice that you're getting into that victimhood mentality and just grab it. Okay. So after getting used to that habit of just stopping it in its tracks, because that right there is you're catching it, that's good. It's working because you're catching it. So now you're stopping it. You're moving on to something different, right? I always say something like delete. Or after I say something negative by accident in my head that I didn't realize, I reverse it to a positive. I'll say like 3 positives or more for every negative statement because I don't know if you know this, but actually you need to say like 20 positive statements for every 1 negative comment. That's a whole different video. But anyway, so now you're noticing it, right? So now you're noticing it maybe a couple days, or maybe you start noticing it right away and you're that good, you can move on to the next step. The next step is when you're getting into these like moments, like you have to find your part in it, okay? So when you're saying stuff like, why me or lucky her, you need to find your part in the matter to why you're in the situation you're in. This one might be hard because this is going to be taking us to the next step. So what's your part in the matter? Why am I currently in this situation? Brain dump on it. Write it all down. Why am I in this current situation? Because you're catching your thoughts. Now you're going, what's my part in it? Why am I here? Okay. Again, with a good question. Why am I here? Why do I feel this way? What about that situation is making me feel this negative victim mode? Write it all down. Brain dump it. None of it matters. It's for you. No one's going to see it. I don't care if it's a burning page of 800. Good afternoon or morning. It's actually morning. But I don't know. I don't care if it's 100 bad things. Write it down. We'll burn it later. Okay? Get it all out of you. Why are you feeling this way? Why are you thinking this way? Okay, cool. You found your part in the matter. Now it takes you to the next step. Next step, taking accountability for why you're in that situation. taking accountability is so hard for people because let's give an example. You're at the grocery store, you're the cashier. First person comes like, wow, she was a real B today. Next person comes like, oh, she was a real B today. After 3 people, it's not the other people. It's time to look at yourself, right? So what you already recognized the blame game, you already caught it, you're stopping it. You recognized it. Now you're seeing what your part in this is the matter. And now you're taking responsibility. Well, I guess it is my fault. I'm in a little bit of debt. I made a couple bad financial decisions last year and here I am. How am I going to get out of it? Another good question. How am I going to get out of it? Not a victimhood question, another abundant question. Things that are going to open your brain to a neural pathway that's going to open up and give you. Because when you open up a neural pathway that your brain goes in a positive direction, it starts looking for answers. It starts looking for solutions. It starts looking for, how can I fix this? Because that's the question you ask yourself. You didn't say, why me? Your brain's spiraling when you say that. It can't give you an answer for that. It can give you nothing but negative answers. You're thinking in the lack. But when you say to yourself, okay, you recognize the thought, you sat down and figured out your part in it, and now you're taking accountability for why you're here, and you're going to ask yourself a abundant question like, how am I going to get out of it? What's another step? What can I do? Okay. So then you're going to take that next to your next part of it and create this habit. This habit is going to be every single time you notice you get into victimhood, you are going to stop it dead in its tracks, recognize it, take accountability for it, and move forward. Okay. So then when you get to the bottom of that's my framework. It's very easy. It is very simple. Recognizing it, finding your part in the matter, taking accountability, asking better questions. And then the journaling comes into it to make it a 5-step because, after you might have to journal a couple times, but I'm just adding journal as a whole for a part of that step because you might have to journal after just having that thought of why am I here? So you might have to sit down and journal into that. Taking accountability and finding your part in the matter and taking accountability, they kind of go hand in hand. But when you take the journaling aspect and you brain dump all the reasons you could find of what your part is in the matter, you're getting that all out of you. Get all the negative out of you. Get it out. You understood it was your fault. You're moving on. And now you're going to find it and ask yourself better questions. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're needing to ask yourself better questions, right? So when you are in a lack mindset and you are spiraling out of control, asking yourself victim questions like, why me? Why do I never get mad? I'm just not lucky. When you're in that place, your mind, your brain goes on one neural pathway. But when you ask yourself a question from abundance, like, what am I going to do differently? How am I going to change my situation? What can I do? What can I do to get more? What can I do for more? Where could I pivot? So if you're looking about money, so say money's your struggle, you're going to say, where could I earn more money? Where's another opportunity? What did I learn here? Okay. Because we don't fail. We learn. We do not fail. Every failure, there is a learning lesson in there. And that's a whole nother video, but you could sit down and every failure, you could sit down and literally brain dump to what you learned out of that failing situation, and I promise you will come out better on the other side. I promise you, for every failure, there is a lesson. What are you going to learn out of it? Anyway, once you get on to those positive questions, your brain waves open up another neural pathway. So when you're on negative victimhood, you're on this path. But when you start going in an abundant path and you start asking yourself questions like, well, how am I going to solve this? What's a better opportunity for me? Can I find a lesson in this? Your brain switches neural pathways. This is so powerful. It's a similar situation as an addict. An addict is on a neural pathway until they try their drug, and then the drug takes them on a different path. Had they stayed clear and straight and never realized what that path would have been like, they would have stayed clear. Our brain is so powerful. It is like a maze of neural pathways. And when we find the correct vibe to stay on, the correct thought process to stay on, the abundant mindset, our brain literally shifts neural pathways, starts looking for solutions, starts racking itself. It's like an epigenetics library in there, right? It starts pulling out different creative ways to change your situation. But when you're in a victimhood situation, it does not do that. It stays on the same path and it just spirals down worse, giving you negative answers, negative pathways, and negative things about yourself. But when you are on a different pathway because you switched it, your brain starts pulling out all of the work. All right, what can we do differently? It starts giving you creative. You start getting ideas. You start thinking differently because it's not bogging down by all the nasty thoughts we're having, because our brain is meant to keep us safe. So when you're saying victimhood stuff like that, it thinks that's what it's supposed to do, continue to give you more negativity. But when you're switching it up, like, I'm okay, brain, I'm not running from lions anymore, this isn't 100 years ago, and you start telling yourself, okay, I found myself responsible for that. What can I do differently? How am I going to change this? Your brain is going to join you right with it. It's going to join you and try to give you solutions to fix your problem. You're going to start noticing more positive things around you where you might get an idea and it might change your whole situation. I'm telling you, if you use this framework to get yourself out of victimhood, your lives will change drastically. And it might be hard for you at first. You might have to go through this and do it 3 times. You might be a note taker. You might have to write the framework down step by step to follow it to get yourself out of that mentality. But I will tell you, the moment you start realizing that thought is a victim thought and you catch it, it's working. That means everything that you are doing is working. And as you do it regularly, it'll be a habit for yourself. I have been doing mindset work for years. I still tend to go into victim mode by accident. I am a retired victim. When I don't water my positive garden every single day, which I get a lot of by coaching others, because it's like coaching myself at the same time. When I'm preaching my framework of how to get yourself in from victim mentality into warrior thought process, I'm preaching it to myself as well. So every day or every time I train someone, I'm hearing it again. So it's all about habit forming. So you need to create this to be a habit. That's why it's not a very long process. If it's too complicated, you won't do it. So every time you catch yourself there, do this framework until you realize it just happens naturally. And then you need to water your garden. If you're not doing mindset work every day, but you're someone who goes into victimhood and you're someone who goes into depression, or you're someone who's not motivated, then you need to put out a podcast every day. You need to listen to Trent Shelton or Rachel Hollis, or go on and find Kayla Kraft. These people are going to pour into you positivity, just like myself. Follow people like me. Follow people who are going to be providing you value every day to keep you going in a more positive mindset. Because I promise you, most of the people who find my page are looking for another stream of income. That is what my whole page is targeted to. It's about mindset and money mindset. How you're going to use your mindset to make more money. That's what my page is about. If that is something you're interested in, make sure you go like it so we can give you a notification when I go live every single day. Now on the weekends I don't, and sometimes it's a bonus, but I will tell you, I talk about mindset stuff every single day. I am trying to make sure I teach my community how to get out of this mindset so that you can then eventually join me in business and I can help and coach you into a better financial situation. But you'll be already halfway there because you're watching a lot of my framework, getting to yourself to a better place. So my goal for you guys today is to just recognize the victim comments your brain does on a regular basis. If you could just recognize it, that is a huge step in the right direction. My goal for you guys throughout the week is then to find your place in the problem. Find where you are, find your part in it, okay? Write it down, then burn it. Then take responsibility for it, right? Okay, I own up to the fact I'm in a lot of debt because I made not a lot of good financial decisions. That would be owning up to my part in the problem. After I made that decision that I've owned up to that, I'm now going to continue to catch myself and change my thought process with better questions. For example, I'm going to ask myself, how am I going to change my situation? What have I learned here? What have I learned here? And what's another way I could do? Well, how could I make more money? Not how could I cut my expenses? Because cutting your expenses just lowers the quality of your life, right? Like, who wants to cut their expenses? Like, if I want to go get a coffee, I don't want to say it's not a part of my financial plan right now, because that's the whole point of being here on earth is to live. And if your whole life is clocking in and out of the time clock, going home because you can't afford the extra thing you want to do, going to sleep, watching the miserable sitcom, and doing it all over again the next day, that is not living. So by me jumping on these trainings, my whole goal for you is to teach you guys the framework to get out of staying stuck. So if you are stuck It's a mindset thing. Because I will tell you, millionaires do not wake up the same as someone poverty stricken. And I'll tell you why. And I'm not saying that doesn't make you a bad or worse person. Millionaires and a poverty person, there could be a great heart or a bad heart in either of them. That's not what I mean. Hear me out. Have you ever seen the show with, I think it's like Who Won the Lottery, right? And they show you how many of them are still millionaires. Do you know what the percentage of that is? It is very low. It's usually like 1 in every 20 are still a millionaire. And let me tell you why. Because the person who earned the $1 million has had to go through the struggle, go through the mindset shift, learn the things to get them disciplined, routine, doing different things until they get to their $1 million. They know how to keep it because they've went through all of the processes of becoming a millionaire. So when people inherit $1 million overnight, they do not know how to keep $1 million. They do not have the mindset of a millionaire. So they, in fact, go around life losing their money because they want it overnight. The person who wins the lottery for $1 million is way less likely to have their $1 million than the person who got themselves to be a self-made millionaire. Because it's just simple. The person who goes to bed and wakes up a millionaire does different things than the middle class person who goes to work 9 to 5. That is just facts. That is not meant to offend you. That is not meant to upset you. That is just facts. Those millionaire mindsets, they are probably a lot more disciplined. There's a lot more structure in their life. Structure equals freedom. For example, I work a 2-hour workday. It is a non-negotiable. I am a busy mom, so sometimes it gets broken up, which I don't love. But it is non-negotiable. Every single day of the week, you will see me working a 2-hour workday because I have structure to get to my freedom. Because I know what is capable of me continuing to move forward. Because consistency will sometimes, if you are consistent, but someone else is a genius, you will get further than the genius who is inconsistent. Because it's not always about how smart you are. It's about showing up. Sometimes done is better than perfect. Because you're showing up, you're doing the hard things. But if you're sitting on your couch today because you gave yourself an excuse and not being consistent with what you say you're going to do, then you're not going to go anywhere. So,
Mom, can you help me?
I can in a moment. I don't really know anything about those games, buddy. So it's like I said, if it's structure equals freedom, it's this mind work that you're going to do with yourself to get you through the icky stuff that's in our heads. Because we, unfortunately, are kind of programmed to be, the 9-to-5ers who don't want anything, higher expectations. And us who challenge that, the 1%ers who go and challenge that, they do a lot of mindset work to get their brains and their bodies and everything in a better position to attract more, to stay in an abundant mindset. Because sitting on the couch, going to work 9 to 5, you're too busy. You have the curse of the busyness. You are being under Satan's yoke because the enemy keeps you busy so that you can't go in and get all your blessings, right? So if you give yourself this mindset work, if you work on these things slowly, that'll be a habit that it'll be gone. And then you'll get another habit on a different target that maybe you are having trouble with mindset. Maybe you aren't believing you're worthy of quitting that job and going after your dreams. Maybe you don't believe you're worthy of having $1 million. That's just as bad as not being able to earn it, because if you were to earn it, you wouldn't keep it because you don't believe you're worthy of it. So you aren't going to be able to get it if you don't believe you're worthy of it. That's another mindset work. I'm not even going to get into that. It's a whole nother video. But in general, you have to make the changes by doing the mindset work, by doing the journaling, by doing the framework I just gave you, showing up, asking better questions, because again, the quality of your life is based on the quality of your questions. If you don't like the quality of your life, you need to ask better quality questions. And better quality questions for right now could be, how am I going to make more money? What am I going to do? What's something I could do differently? How am I going to change my situation? Okay, who could I learn from? Or let's take it a step further. Maybe it's just asking a business mentor, what did you do to get there? Instead of being jealous of them from afar. Maybe it's messaging that girl you've been following on Instagram or TikTok and saying, I have a question. I'm just really lost and I could really use some guidance. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you're doing to grow so fast? I promise you, any of the people that are growing and doing really well are not gatekeepers. We love to bring people up with us. We don't leave people behind. It's very rare you're going to find someone that wants to step on your head to get to the top. Most of us 1%ers who are doing the mindset work, doing the trauma healing, making the money, doing the mindset shifting, We want you to grow with us. We will have a program to offer you to help you. Like, for example, if you've been following me for a while and you're thinking about getting into digital marketing, but you don't know how, or maybe you think it's too expensive, we have tons of options. But if you were to just ask me or tell me, hey, I feel this is too expensive, what can I do? Well, we have a ton of payment plans, making it as low as like $30 a month. After you make your first sale, you pay that sucker back and you're debt free because it's 100% profit. But if you never ask the questions to get the answers, you would never know because you're just being a looky-loo. Well, a looky-loo you can't look your way out of the wilderness. You can't look your way into $1 million home. Like, God's not just going to bless you because you say it. You can ask the Lord for some blessings, but he wants to see action. And by action might be asking better questions today. You know, if you don't ask, you wouldn't know that I am offering a Black Friday special that would give you access to 5 streams of income. But if you're not in my email list, you will not receive that amazing price that pretty much might as well be free that can open the door for you to get to digital marketing for next to nothing. You wouldn't know that we're hosting a 3 or 4 day workshop that's going to be free for you if you joined in on our Black Friday special. You wouldn't know if you're not asking the questions. So if you are stuck in your situation and you just don't know how to get out, you need to A, do the framework we just talked about, and B, you need to ask yourself and others better quality questions so we can get you into a better situation. Because like I said, you can't just think your way out. You can't just look your way out of the wilderness. You have to move. You have to take actions. You have to speak. Speaking actions, like asking better questions, you know, like how am I going to get myself out of this situation? I don't know anything about those video games, buddy. And you only got a few minutes because when I'm done, you're off of them.
You just have to jump.
My son's been really sick because we have been going through a lot with mold illness. And so I have him on the tablet, which I never do. So I can talk to you guys and teach you guys the victimhood to warrior mindset framework and tell you guys about all the things. So he's kind of like asking me for help because he doesn't even know how to use it practically because that's how little we use it. But like I said, guys, if the quality of your life is based on the quality of your questions, and if you guys are feeling like you're stuck and you don't know how to get out of it, then you need to ask yourself and others around you better quality questions so that you can get out of it. Don't cut your expenses. Look for more ways to earn more. You know, I was in a really bad situation. I got breast implant illness. And in order to feel better, I had to take $10,000 of money I didn't have because I was already in an astronomical amount of debt because of the breast implant illness, because it's not recognized by Western medicine. And I had to figure out how I was going to come up with $10,000 to get the breast implants out. $10,000 to heal when you're already in financial ruin. Like, I had to start asking myself, how am I going to make more money? This healing journey is bankrupting me. How am I going to provide for my family if I'm not making enough money, right? So I had to start asking myself better questions. And when I did that, my brain was opening up to more opportunities. I was seeing things and noticing them more. I wasn't ignoring them. Like, wonder what she's doing to earn. I wonder how she's going. Well, I saw a friend. She's a single mom of 6, killing it. I think she's on a year now. It's $355,000 she's made in 1 year using digital marketing. Instead, I watch from the sidelines, boo-hooing. For how long? Finally, I go and ask her what it is. She teaches me this framework. She shows me a blueprint that comes with already done for you framework that taught me how to sell a digital marketing offer, how to build an offer, how to use automations, how to grow an email list, how to attract the perfect client, how to use copy and paste free ads methods. These were all things that were in her blueprint, but if I didn't ask her, because if I didn't have a good quality question to move forward, I wouldn't have known these things that have literally changed my life, that have literally taught me how to show a ton of other women how to change their life and how I'm going to coach all these women to change in their life. But I mean, good God forbid if I didn't ask that question, I wouldn't have been able to help these women, right? And these parents who are looking for freedom. I work a 2-hour workday. That's it. When I'm done with this, me and my son could go do whatever we want for the day. That's it. So if I didn't ask the questions to get the answers I needed, I wouldn't have a clue how to have changed my life. So if you guys are stuck in victimhood right now, you got to do that framework I showed you. And then you've got to ask better quality questions so that your brain starts looking for positive, abundant answers and not lack answers. Because when you're in victimhood, your brain is going to look for the lack because you're feeding it lack. So you're going to stay lacking. It's like a never-ending domino effect. But when you start to shift it and you start to ask better quality questions, your brain starts to look for quality answers. It starts to dig in its library of things and creativity to try to better the situation, because that's what you're feeding it. You're like, I need to figure this out. Like, you know, it's not about being obsessive with it, you know, because that could be unhealthy too. It's more along the lines of like a change. You're shifting your pattern from a victim to a warrior. And a warrior and a CEO, we don't cut costs. We don't boo-hoo and sit around on the couch watching TV because we're not making it. We get up and we go, what are we going to do differently? What am I missing? I'm going to go take a course to figure out what I'm missing. I'm going to go learn from a coach. I need someone to help me because I know I'm not doing it on my own. So we go and we ask better quality questions. We find better quality people. Are you surrounded by nothing but victims? Because you'll be the next victim. I like to surround myself by millionaires so I can be the next millionaire. You know, I coach and I do a mentorship group. It's a boot camp with 3 other women who are making multiple 6 figures so that I can learn from them to be the next one making multiple 6 figures. And we're teaching other women how to make multiple 6 figures. And then we also have a mentorship group. I went live in the group and I taught this framework last night in a way more in-depth situation so that they can be set up for success. These are people already in our program. We're not doing it because we want to sell. These are people who are already in our program. And we want their success to be like contagious. We want everyone around us to be so contagious that everybody's helping everybody. The internet, it gives you access to billions and millions of people if you will utilize it correctly and learn how to. So, but if you're just going to show up today, be a victim tomorrow, and show up the next day and be a victim for the next 2 days, that lack of consistency alone will not help you. So it'll be important for you to build your confidence and build your mindset from that lack mindset into an abundant mindset. Because if you do not, you will be stuck. No one likes to be stuck. We want to get you unstuck in 2025. But there is still time in 2024. Like, for example, my Black Friday special, I'm marketing it all month. It's only going to be available for 3 days, the day before, the day of, and the day after. It is going to get you an astronomically low price that I can't even tell you unless you're in my email. You will not know the price unless you're in my email list. So if that's something you're interested in, you're going to want to go to my link in my bio, or you're going to message me, or you're going to comment under here, and I will reach out to you so that you can essentially get into my email list, get the price, see that it opens up 5 streams of income for you. 5 streams of income. You could literally buy your situation on Friday and change your life by Christmas. You could literally change your holiday with like 2 sales with the right coaching and mentorship and education. So I just wanted to jump on and give you guys some hope today. Be your hope dealer. Hopefully you will work on the framework we talked about today. And if you didn't catch the framework, make sure you go to my YouTube and watch it tonight so you can catch up and change your life. Hopefully I see you guys inside of one of my groups or inside my email containers so I can help you guys shift from a victim to a warrior.